Happy Thursday and welcome to our demo today for Marquee 360's Automate Your Business Process with the Microsoft Power Platform. My name's Megan and I'm an account manager here at Marquee 360 and we're so excited you could join us. Today you're also going to be hearing from Stella Shalom, our solutions architect, and Erin Boyle, our marketing manager.
Hey everyone.
Our agenda today will be a quick overview about Marquee 360. Then Stella will present the demo. And lastly, we'll have questions and answers at the end. And we love an interactive audience, so please ask questions along the way. And like Erin said, we will also be recording this. So I'll be sending out the recording after the conclusion of the demo today. So a little bit about us. Marquee 360 is a Microsoft Gold partner in project and portfolio management. And actually, we've been a finalist for Partner of the Year over the past couple of years. So we work side by side very closely with Microsoft, and we have a global footprint in the US, Canada, and Europe. Actually, our company was founded by former Microsoft employees, and our team has 20 plus years in the industry. So again, we work side by side with Microsoft technology team during their development. And actually, our team was at Microsoft's Power Platform conference earlier this month. So we're updated on all the latest and greatest and all the goodies Microsoft has coming in the near future. And our core mission is innovation and full access to our product and process experts. Most importantly, our expertise is on best practices. And we've learned this from working with many customers in many different areas of business. Our main focus is with relationship building and our customer successes. We also act as a trusted advisor and help customers feel confident in the value of Marquee 360 and the return on investment. We know that's important. So I'm going to put my email in the chat. Feel free to reach out, and we'd love to do a demo for your team. We'll design it around what your current needs are, and we hope to hear from you soon. And with that, I will hand it off to Erin Boyle, our marketing manager.
Thanks, Megan. So like Megan said, we're Microsoft partners. So what that means is we work a lot with Microsoft technologies, and our specialty is taking those technologies, bringing them all together in one place, but also extending the functionality of those technologies. So we call it the One Connected Experience, and this is a platform that we've built that brings you all of your work management in one place. And you can do that with your existing Microsoft investment. So we use Project for the Web for all of our task management, scheduling. If you're familiar with that, you'll kind of understand a little bit. If you're new, you'll see that in the demo with Stella. And we use Power Apps to give it a little bit more functionality than it has out of the box. So your risk issues, timesheets, things like that, just gives you a little bit more than you normally would. And then we bring that all together in teams. So your team members aren't bouncing around from place to place. They can just manage it all in teams. It gives you that better UI experience and just streamlines things a little bit. And then we use Power Automate in the background to create workflows to automate those processes. Any manual processes you have going on, like project ideation, timesheets, things like that, you're not having to send them back and forth or write anything down through email. We make sure that all that's automated in the background, approvals, and that's a piece we're really going to focus on today with Stella, how all that works. And then we bring it all together in Power BI with reporting and interactive dashboards. With our One Connected Experience, because it's built on the Power Platform, we can also break these down into individual apps. So if you just need help with ideation, we can build our intake app for you. Or if you just want reporting, we can do that as well. All these can be broken down so you're not spending money on things that you don't need yet, and build this out piece by piece so you're just getting what your organization needs. And it also lets us customize it to your business processes, the way you do things. So it's without any extra coding, it's easy for us to do that. And then once you have it, it's also easy internally to change things too, because it's built on the Power Platform. So that low code, no code follows through to the whole process. All right, and with that, I'm going to pass it over to Stella.
Hi, thank you, Erin. My name is Stella Salome. I will be presenting Power Automate today and how we can use in your project process. So Project for the Web is built on Power Platform, which integrates with Microsoft's Power Automate application. Using the Power Automate application, Marquis has created a project for the web pre-configured, which we'll be looking at today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, and everyone can see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so this is the homepage for PPM 360, which, as I said, is Marquee 360's pre-configured project for the web. So we'll see here that a lot of additions for automation specifically we'll be looking at today that Marquee 360 has added to this platform in order to increase efficiency and automation within your project lifecycle. So as you can see here, we have the home page for your project center. Here we can go directly to project intake, which is the beginning of our project lifecycle, where we will submit requests for a new project. We can also look at timesheets and our reports. This is a central location for your project management, which we'll return to. So as I said here, you can submit a project through project intake. We can have this integrated directly here within the project center, or we can open it all together within a new screen. Our intake app provides automation from the start of your project lifecycle for a more seamless and efficient start to your project, saving time not only for approvers, but for project managers. This allows your project team to have an advantageous start to their project with the fields that you determine already pre-populated at the start of their project. So here we can see all of the requests. And we can see which ones have already been created through this approval process and which ones have been rejected or maybe have only been submitted for stage 1 and are pending that approval process. We'll go ahead and submit a new project request here.
As Stella's filling that out, I just wanted to say, if you guys have any questions throughout this, feel free to put them in the chat or unmute and ask. Thanks.
So we can select our project sponsor here. Now this is synced with your AD. So as you can see here, you can search for anyone's name and it will appear here. This also allows for us to create automations customizable. So for example, if you had a user lookup field and you wanted them to receive a notification upon approval of the project, or if you wanted them to be, let's say, an IT lead or the project manager of the project upon approval, that could be mapped and customizable to where it automatically has them in whatever field you designate. Here we can write a little bit of the description for this project, problem statement, and these are also all fields that can be mapped over to the new project.
There is a question in the chat about whether we can have multi-select dropdowns. The answer there is yes.
Yes, you can have a multi-select dropdown. Just know that for the user lookup ones, that one does not map to PPM 360 currently for the user lookup fields, but all of the other ones can have multi-select. So we can see here, we have some request information. We can provide some project details here, the go live date. So we said, the release of this would be 2027. We can put a proposed budget, which we can also have mapped over to the new project. And you can even lock this field so the project manager can't change it. The proposed start date and an end date as well. Here we put some expected benefits. We can even determine the scoring, which means the priority. This will help for approvers for if they wanted to filter on all of the approvals they have. They could prioritize the project requests with the highest priority score. Here we can also upload attachments and even choose to have those attachments also be in the new project that we'll see created. Now I can have approval directly from intake, or it can be submitted to either team notification for approval or email. So I went ahead and submitted this project. So we can see here that's been submitted. And here from the homepage, we can see some general information. Now we can display whatever information from the request that you'd like to see here and even filter as well. Now this is going to go through an approval process. And as I said, you can choose to either have the approvers come into the project to approve it or approve directly from email or even a Teams notification. So as you can see, as if anyone heard that, that was my approval for the project that I just received. So we can see here, here's the name of the project request. It was submitted by myself. Here's a description of the project, go live date, and the value. Now, as I said before, you can choose to display whatever information you want to see here. And you can also either approve or reassign it to someone else for approval. So I'm going to go ahead and approve. Now, as I said, you can have it either approve from the Teams notification or email. So as we can see here, so it's going to already completed this request from intake. It's going to tell me I've already completed it. But like, as I said, I received this notification directly here. So I could have approved it from here as well. Now if we go back to intake and refresh, we can see that my project's been approved. Now the workflow is working to create this project in PPM 360. So once the project's been created, the status will be updated and we'll see a hyperlink directly to the project here. So while that project's creating, which we'll return to shortly, for purposes of time, I've already gone ahead and pre-populated a project yesterday here. So let's go ahead and look at how this link is going to take us directly to that project. So this brings us to, so at this point, are there any questions?
Stella, there was one that if it could be edited before approval and or after, just so we let the group know.
Yes, absolutely. So the information or data for the intake is housed in a SharePoint list. So the approvers can absolutely go in and edit.
I interrupted somebody.
Now,
please
you
go
can
ahead and
choose-
ask.
Yeah, a couple of questions. Can you send the request back to the submitter with questions?
Absolutely, yes. You can say request more information and use the comments to do that, and then they can resubmit it. Absolutely.
And then, thank you. And then the project details page, are those fields configurable? Can you add additional fields?
Yes, everything is configurable. That's the great thing about our intake process. So you can even add more areas here. You can configure anything you want here to be a drop down, to be a choice value, to be a choice drop down with predetermined values, anything. And as we'll see here, you can also determine any of the fields here that when the new project is created, those fields carry over. And if it's a field that you don't want the project manager updating because that needs to stay concrete for the project, you can even lock it or make that field read only. So the project manager can see that information carried over, but we can create permissions for that field. So only a PMO or admin can go in and edit it if needed.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then one final question. Can the workflow be modified in such a way, like for instance, we have a process where we do an initial idea intake that is preliminary approved for additional scoping, and then once it's scoping, then it's finally approved. So it's more of a two-step process. I see Mia shaking her head. That sounds like that's configurable.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
perfect. All right.
Yes, absolutely. So we can have it, so as we saw from the homepage here, it would be just as simple as adding another process here. So for
Perfect.
example, it could be submitted for ideation, in ideation, and then you could have it to where now you can go into the project, select here, we can edit it, and we can have it, for example, say, I only want to show this scoring once it gets to ideation or to this stage. So then that will appear there for them or whoever needs to fill it out, and that's where they would do that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Of course, and that doesn't have to be your last question.
Sorry,
We have one
I'll
more.
shut up for a while.
No,
you're
we
fine.
love it.
Please, we love questions.
We have another hand up, Stella.
Yes, Anya.
Thanks. Do the projects, when you're doing the intake, are all the templates the same, or can you have multiple project intake templates for different types of projects?
It's a great question. You can actually have multiple. So we've had customers to where when they select request type, for example, it will change other areas of that intake. So for example, if I selected request type EIM, I could have it then show attachments, but if it was request type, agile, then it wouldn't show attachments. But it doesn't have to be attachments. It could be anything with any fields you have there.
Okay, and then are the user actions tracked in a history? So if someone makes a submittal and then edits it?
Yes, so we can actually add an area where it has modified by date and time, and then so modified by, and then it tracks the user, and you can actually choose to display that information directly here for everyone to see as well, or only admins see it or approvers.
Thank you.
Of course. So one thing else I did want to say is, so let's say I've submitted an intake and now I'm ready to assign the project manager who's going to be controlling this project once it gets to PPM 360. So as I said before, that could simply be whoever I put in the project sponsor field, or I could do approval from intake here. So that one's already been approved. So I can do approval from intake. And once this is submitted, you can determine you can pick the project manager. The approver can pick the project manager once it's approved as well. So we can either have it predetermined, like who will be the project manager, but if you don't know at the time that it's submitted, the approver can determine that as well before the project gets created. Good questions, great questions. So here we're seeing some information for a project, like I said yesterday, but we can already go ahead and see that the project, as we saw, was created from intake. So the new one that we just did is also going to now show up in my active projects. And here it is, manufacturing release 2026. Now, for this case, I didn't have a lot much map over, but some information did. So as you can see here, but we can choose to have anything map over. So users, and like I said, we can choose to have those locked as well. Same thing here. If I wanted to have the fields that we saw, problem statement, carry into the new one, they could do so here. So here's a project in PPM 360, and we can see some general information here, some project details, schedule summary, and some system information. Here's our project charter with some information. And we also have a business process flow here at the top. Now, this business process flow allows a multi-step approval process that can be customizable to your project process needs. This process determines the active stage of the project, but for companies with smaller projects, the active stage can also be determined simply by a field, example like this. This would be what would drive the reports, which we'll take a look at here in a bit. Approvers can receive stage approval requests automatically, and we have made the approval process even easier, providing approvers various routes for receiving and approving the stage gate approvals. I'm going to go ahead and submit one here. So as we can see, initiation deliverables complete. When I select yes, I see the check mark appears. Next stage, and it's been now sent for approval. So now, as I said, we have received multiple ways that the approver can approve this request, which can be through either a Teams notification or an email notification. However, you choose to receive a notification for approval, you can customize all the information from that project that you want to see within the request. This provides value by highlighting the most critical project info the approver needs to approve that process, decreasing the time reviewers may typically need by having information directly in the request. PMOs don't need to navigate to the project for more information. They can just have it right there at their fingertips. So as we can see here, I just received that, and it's telling me here the project name, what it was submitted for, initiation gate approval, and I can either approve or reject it directly. This is also a good example of somewhere where I could add a need more information here and add comments as well. So I'm going to go ahead and approve. And now the requester will receive a notification saying that the request has been approved. So as we can see here, your project release was approved to proceed to planning. And we have some information here as well, the comments. We'll also see that notification here in Teams. As you can see here, I can no longer approve it from here because it's already been approved from email, but this is just a good example of how I can receive the notification. The other step in the business process flow, I received it in the email, but I haven't approved that one from email yet, so I can go ahead and approve that one. I can also reassign this approval if I feel like it's not in my territory to do so, and maybe it was sent to the wrong place. I can also reassign it and have someone else on my team choose to approve this. I'm going to go ahead and approve. And same situation here. You can see here, final status approved. The requester will receive notification that this has been approved. Here we can also see a little overview of the approval process it went through. So if you have multi-steps, multi-approvers here, you would see multiple people here in the approval process.
Hey, Stella, we have another question from
Okay.
Joe. During project execution, can change requests, purchases, invoices, and all be approved in this by the appropriate parties?
I am so happy you asked about change requests. We will actually talk about how we can automate. I've created a way that you can create a change request directly in here and have that information in live time automated to a Word template. And that Word template can even be automatically created into a PDF. And one step further, it can automatically be sent to the signature system or platform of your choosing. For example, DocuSign, Adobe Acrobat, and you'll see that we're going to see that it already has the signature area there. So you can add your signature in advance as well, and even have it be sent to supervisor or customer, vendor, whoever it needs to go through that platform as well. This can all be done by a simple step of a button. So here I can see.
Anya also has her hand up.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Anya.
Can the workflow accommodate when things can be done simultaneously or the workflow splits?
So yes. So for example, we can have we've created a workflow before that went to multiple approvers, and so for example, at one stage it was sent to 3 different PMOs, but it was whoever approves it first. The other one just shows its final status has already been approved to the other approvers at the time they go to approve it.
Okay, thanks.
But yes, we can also have, we call it a multi-trigger function. So it would send to multiple people, but we also can have it do multiple things. So send, go ahead and generate a PDF of these fields, send it to the customer, the vendor, whoever, and then you can also have that same trigger function to send to for an approval, for stage approval as well. So at the time that I submit this for approval, it automatically generates these fields into a Word, which will convert it to a PDF and then send it to where or whoever you want, even a Teams folder as well. Okay, so now that we've looked at the business process flow, we can see here project charter, status of a project. Really quickly, I wanted to highlight the tasks section. So here's my project schedule. So as project managers, we all know that the project revolves around the project schedule, which means that this is a very important area to be able to seamlessly manage and have automation around. For those of you familiar with Project Online, which is Microsoft's legacy project management tool, which they're no longer investing money in, this is Microsoft's newest and brightest PPM tool. So every day we're seeing advances here. For example, conditional coloring, which is similar to not only Excel, but Project Online as well, allows me to specify any field within my task to be any color and equal to or not equal to that value. I'm a big colors person, so this is huge for me. So for example, if I want to say, show me all the projects that are assigned to Mia, and I want to see those in pink, I can now see that pop up right here. Another great example is that this view right here is completely customizable. I can drag and drop these fields, and this stays for the user. These fields and columns are reportable, which we'll see later as well. Now, if I go to my people view here, I can see all the resources in this project that I have assigned tasks to. Now, if you're also in charge of approving timesheets for your team or managing their time, which we all know is also very important for managing a project, then we can know that it's all here in one place.
Stella, we have another question.
Yeah.
Does the timeline have a predecessor or successor capability like MS Project did?
Absolutely. And as I was saying, we now have advanced dependencies, which I personally am very excited about. So before they only had finish to start. Recently, they also have added the other three, which are start to start, finish to finish, and start to finish. Less commonly used, but still important to have the capabilities of. So if you add this field here, we can see depends on. These are all finished to start. But let's say I wanted to, just to highlight this, I could do 55. Another way to manage the timeline as well is from the timeline view here. So this is a little bit harder to manage. It's not my favorite view personally, but you can drag and drop these to make it depend on other areas, on other tasks, move around, move the duration of this out if I need this to be longer. And then now I can see the percent of this has been complete of this task or how far along we are there. Another one of my favorite views here, which was recently added, is this assignments view. So for those of you who are familiar with Project or Microsoft Project, this is going to be similar to your task usage view. So as you know, just because this task is 190 hours, that doesn't mean it's all going to be completed in the 1 year or however span. So if I wanted to say that these hours need to be completed on this date, for example, I could. Now, if there's a dependency on this task, it's going to read as an error because it's saying that this task may not be able to start until another one's finished. Not the case here, but in some cases it is. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at Mia's tasks. We can see here that Mia's completed these 4 tasks. It is Thursday, and on Thursday, I approved timesheets. So let's go ahead and look at the timesheet and see if Mia has submitted a request for an approval. I can do that either here in timesheets, or I have automated the approval process to receive notifications when that is submitted. So here I have right here, Mia has submitted a timesheet request. So here I can choose to either approve it directly, and I also received one here via email as well. So I can choose to approve it, or I can go in and choose to see the tasks. Here's an attachment which has more detailed information as well. So I'm going to go ahead and approve those tasks. Now Mia will receive a notification that her timesheet has been submitted for those tasks. Now, someone asked about changes earlier. So we have recently added to our base solution. We have recently added to our base solution the ability to do the change requests. So if I wanted to create a new change here, I could name my change, the state that it's in. The approval process can also be set up. So this field can act as a trigger to send an approval for this change to whoever I specify. And set the priority. Here in the Assign To field, I can trigger this field to automatically, upon saving this, send this user, so in this case Mia, information about this change and the notification that she's been assigned to it. If she's not already on my project team, this will give her access to this change to come in and manage it. So at this time, I could either choose to, save the project and have her come in here and finish it, or I can choose to finish the rest of the information, which she'll receive in her notification upon saving this. Now, when I save this, it's going to see here some system information. So when Mia comes in here and modifies it, this will update to her name. So I can see the last time she was in here managing it. Now that we've created this change, let's say upon saving it, or I could say as a trigger, for example, I want to send it for approval. I could change this to approved, or I could have a field that says send for approval or requested. So requested can also act to go to multiple or one approver. Now, my favorite part here is the word template. So currently, you can't just do a control P and export this as a PDF. But we have created word templates, which Marquee 360 has recently added 3 of to our base solution here. So as I was talking about earlier, I'm going to now, so this is unsaved, so I want to save this. Once it's saved, I can come in here and I can say change request template. Now this is going to create this template we discussed over here. And as we can see here, all of my live fields, name, assigned to, schedule, change request details, are all here in this document automatically. It just automated that for us by click of a button. Now let's say I see this and I think I actually do have some additional comments. It's as simple as saying, I actually do have some things. I could spell. And then saving again. And there we go. I actually have some comments. So that automation process is nice and simple. Now we can have.
Hey, Stella,
yes.
I get a lot of questions when talking to customers. So I know you showed us how you can save this in a Word template. Is there a way to have it automatically generate a PDF version as well, and then potentially even send it to the customer?
Yes, actually. I'm happy you asked. So we can generate a customized workflow that sends this version of your custom version here to the signature approval application of your choosing, such as DocuSign or Adobe Acrobat, or we can choose to have it convert to PDF and save in a Teams folder, which is created for the project at the time the project's created, or even sent to an email of your choosing. There are many options for this. And as you can see here, we already have the required signature for approval section here. This would run as a flow and can be set up for any of the tabs or fields. So for example, this may have just populated all the fields from that change request, but I can add any fields in addition to that, like budget or financials or anything that was on project details. Any field can be added to here. So any other questions right now? Okay, well, we are probably not the most exciting part of the webinar for me. I set up this risks to issue workflow. So as project managers, sometimes we have risks, but other times we have issues. Something might start as a risk and then become an issue. So for example, here, how do we automate that process? Do I have to recreate the issue if it becomes an issue with all the same fields? Well, at other places, maybe, but here's Marquee 360, no. So we have a risk, and if let's say it's inclement weather, and inclement weather has happened. So before this was proposed, do I want to convert this risk to issue? Yes. And now we're going to see that the specific fields like description, category, assigned to, due date are going to carry over. I set up the workflow though to automatically create the priority, which is a new field you'll see in the issue, to high. Because if a risk is being converted to an issue, chances are that priority probably should be high. So we're going to go ahead and click yes. And then upon saving, you can save and close. And now we're going to see that this workflow working in the background is going to pull this risk from the risk table, and it's going to insert it into the issues table. There it is. It is now in here. And as we can see here, the priority is high. And going back to my risks, when I refresh this, it is no longer there. So not only does it pull and populate it over here, but that also creates the automation of removing it from your risks table. As we saw before, the description here is the same. The state is now active. Category is the same as well. And so is priority as high, as we discussed, since I converted from risk to an issue. Due date also remains the same, and I'm still the owner as well. Any questions so far? Sorry, does someone have a question, Megan? Or Joe, did they answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
Okay. So as I talked about the word template, just a few examples here, how we can do this for other areas as well. So for the project charter, for example, project charter template. Here is our pre-configured project charter. Now this design can obviously include your company's logo and whatever fields you want, and whatever design you want as well. So as we can see here, problem statement, we'll need to ensure the project. All of these have carried over here. Scope, constraints, assumptions, priority, and so on. There's also a field here that we have preset in this. So if it did need a signature, here are the people that you need a signature from. It's all set up to go to whatever signature platform of you're choosing, or simply in Word if you wanted to stay there as well. So for our status report, we also have a Word template that can be created. And to submit a status report for your project, you do so here. And create a new status report. I can either have these status indicators preset with specific parameters, For example, if there's 3 active issues, then the overall health should be at risk. Or we can have project managers allow them to manually set this up. Here, I'm going to talk about some of my recent accomplishments, next steps, and then some permits. Once again, we can also set up automations around this. So when I submit this, I can have Mia receive a copy of the status report.
And Stella, Joe asked, is it able to show what defines red, amber, or green? And I think we can also alter those colors or define the colors.
Yes, absolutely. So your project managers, you can absolutely have something that either hyperlinks to where it takes them to a resource, maybe in SharePoint, that the document that shows them here's the outline for this, and they can follow those parameters. Or if you have it preset, we can have a note here or something within it directly that tells them this is what this is following. So this is why your scope health is yellow, for example. And the parameters which we can set around that are extremely customizable. So for example, for scope health, if there's an active change open and the category on that change is scope, then scope health should be yellow. And same thing for issues and risks. Even going down to the detail of what the category is. For budget health, you can say if there is a issue or risk or change open and a cost impact of greater than 5,000 has been noted on that, and it's an active one, the budget health should be yellow. So what's great about Microsoft is their ability to allow customization around this. So here we can see, once again, if I wanted to do a status report, I could. But we'll see here when we go to Power BI, how we have a pretty version of everything that we just looked at. So the great thing about Marquee 360 is with PPM 360, not only do you get the intake, the beginning of your project lifecycle with automation included, not only do you get the Power Platform in Project for the Web with automation and also including these Word templates of your choosing, but you also get 15 reports in our PPM 360 report pack. So right now we'll go ahead and take a look at some of my favorites. So we'll go ahead and start with our status report. So everything that we just looked at for the status report, Tesla EV here, we can now see in one place. So we have our recent accomplishments, and this is pulling from the most recent status report. We have the risk that we looked at, inclement weather, all the information about it here as well. We have project issues, the one we also looked at here, COVID outbreak. We have changes, new deliverable additional, which we also looked at and created here on our change request. This report pack also includes their own dashboards for risks, issues, and changes, which we can see here. Now, this is going to show us for multiple projects. Here we have issues and then changes. Now, those tasks you saw earlier assigned to Mia, we can utilize our resource report right here. Now I have this filtered on Mia as my resource name or the project name here. So as you can see for this project that we looked at, Tesla, here are all of my resources that are assigned to this project. And if I expand them, since I'm filtered on project name, it's only going to show this project. But if I wasn't, it would show me every single project and all tasks across. Here are the tasks that we saw from Mia earlier, and here's how she's currently doing on all of them. Looks like Mia has one late, so we'll just hope that this report hasn't been refreshed yet. I'm just kidding. But if I wanted to see others, like I could see the tasks here. For Megan, same situation. In our task overview report, I can filter on Mia and see all of her task information across all projects. So as we can see here, Mia has a lot of tasks and a lot of projects that she's on. Red signifies it's late, and then here we can see the progress. So you can see here we have many interactive visuals. So when I select on one, I can say, show me all of the future tasks. So you can see here, show me which tasks are late. Here are my late tasks. And then here are the ones that are overdue. If I wanted to say, show me just the projects for Mia on this specific project, JCI demo, I can do that as well.
And Stella, how often do these refresh?
That is a great. So as of approximately 3 weeks ago, Power BI now can do the amount of refreshes you want. Before, they would only allow 8 refresh time slots in one day. For typical users, admins can do a manual refresh at any time. But now they have made it to where there's endless amounts of refresh. So this provides great value because you're getting your data populated more frequently, which makes these reports more usable by your project users and project managers who may not have the capability to do a manual refresh due to licensing.
Great, thanks.
So I think so we covered a lot today. Now we took a look at the beginning of our project lifecycle and how automation can be used there in many ways for the approval process, for the submission process, for the next process moving into project creation. We also looked at how to manage the project and automation around that. Everything from when a task is assigned, the user receives a notification of that task assignment, to the creation of the Word templates that can be sent for approval and signature, and also within issues, risks, and changes, how we can convert a risk seamlessly to an issue and have all that information mapped. This saves time across the board for project managers. That adds up to hours of work that we can automate for you and your team, creating more time for you to focus on project work and less time focusing on more organizational or doing the same thing over and over again, but in a different area. Joe, can the tool show PM capacity and easily drag and drop during portfolio planning? Yes. So example, if planning PM 1 to be on project D, will it show how many hours they have left in a standard work? Yes, it will. So using our resource availability report here, I can filter into a specific resource. And now this is measuring by FTE, which is full-time equivalent. So 1 equals to, full-time. So as we can see here, Mia is extremely over allocated by 12 FTE, so full-time equivalents. So this gives me an idea of how many people or how many resources I need to assign to projects or this area. If I select on this, it's going to show me her project work here. Now this can also be shown in hours. So instead of it showing, 40, let's say, or even by week as well, instead of by month. So for example, if that 40 hours in a week, you can filter it by week and have it show availability. So for example, if these were in hours, then it would show she only has 3 hours of availability this week. And when I clicked on the week for that user, it would show me all the tasks they have assigned and the total. So for example, if it showed she had 3 hours left, then when I click on that, all of these task hours should equal 37, since there's 40 hours in a work week, or whatever availability you set. Yes, overallocation is a huge issue for many PMOs. Another thing I actually wanted to highlight on that, since we're talking about resources and we have some time. When your project is created from intake, this is a little bit more advanced, but for those people who want to establish what resources or roles are going to be on a project before the project is approved, how long does the typical conversion take? Oh, for the risk to issue, just like that, super easy. It takes about, I think our average runtime last time I looked at it was about 45 seconds. So that's good. So here's my resource team. So I can assign a role. So let's say when the new project is created, I can already determine this in intake. When the project is created, they're here. Now, when I can either add more people to my resource team by clicking new, and I can select someone that I know on my team. And although each resource has a default role, so let's say she normally acts as a developer, but for this project, I want him to be a site estimator. I can select that. And I can select the start and finish dates as well, that he's on this project. This is one way to add someone to your project team. The other way is simply by assigning them to a task in the project. So when I assign them to a task in the project here, it's going to use their default role if they don't already have one assigned. So here, let's say, so this is everyone already on my project team that's giving me to pick from. Let's say I wanted to add Mita, who's not my project team currently. When I select her, I can go back here and see that she's going to show up on this resource table. There she is, Amita, and it gave her default role, developer. Yes, from planning the portfolio. Yes. So Joe, since you have some questions about portfolio, I would love to talk to you more about that. And Erin, if you could send Joe the webinar we did on programs and portfolio management, PPM 360 is a great way to do that. So here's my portfolios. And I've actually created a real estate investment portfolio here. And here's a little description of it. And here's all the projects within this. So from a reporting standpoint, I can say, show me all of the tasks within a portfolio at the portfolio level. So that can be one here. I can see all the tasks, resource assignments, same thing. I could filter on portfolio instead of project name. And here we have our portfolio health where I can see all the projects in one portfolio. Portfolio dashboard here, same thing. So if I wanted to go to my real estate investment portfolio, I could see all the projects in there and the status of how they're doing. And here in PPM 360, we can see all the projects, who they're assigned to, and this view right here is completely customizable as well. So from a program standpoint, so as you can see here are all the projects within the real estate investment portfolio. I also have two programs where we have real estate remodels and real estate rental properties. All of the projects in these two programs are in the real estate investment portfolio. They don't have to be, but in this case they are. And I can see the number of active projects, projects on track, projects at risk, and projects in trouble. This portfolio view is great, and our reports that populate the information on it allows you to filter in by the task level, resource level. So if I'm a PMO and I manage a portfolio, I can say, show me all of the tasks just within this portfolio, for example. So yes, absolutely priority. And Joe, that can be determined by a scoring model, a multi-level scoring model, whatever questions the parameter is. We'll just take a look at that and help you determine that. Can the software link to Workday specifically and other widely used programs? It absolutely can. Workday, Jira, you name it, we probably have it. There's some are called premium connectors, which Microsoft has recently added. So it allows you to connect to things like DocuSign, and that's how the automation occurs. So we can add that connector, and then we create a workflow. So Workday would be a connector we would add, and the workflow would still just happen instantly by our trigger. Does this solution do any type of project budget tracking? For instance, any type of integration with Workday to track actual expenses against those that were budgeted? It sure does, and that is a great conversation. We actually recently updated this to show. We have done recently an integration with Cognos, if you're familiar with that, in JDE, for a customer, where we all have financials now in one place. So we would need something like a work order number, project number, whatever your financial system uses. We would need a data connection set up, and then we would set that connection up to run on a nightly sync. That would pull in budget information here, actuals, and then some of these you're going to manage a forecast. It would even pull in purchase recs, purchase orders, invoices. Now we are working on we have some financial insight reports if you went with our Financials 360 integration pack as well. And we're working on some new ones. So for example, if you wanted a report that showed you which invoices have been received, which ones have been received and paid, received but not paid, sent, submitted, all of those, you can have that all in one report as well as the POs and purchase requisites. So really quickly here, I'll just show you if I wanted to add a new financial line. Now, if it's on a nightly sync and it's polling, then if I do this during the nightly sync, it's going to override whatever I do because it's going to consider for budget and actuals, because it's going to consider the data in where you're pulling from, the central location of truth. So you want that, and we'd make sure that that is being overridden, so you're not having project managers kind of determine financial information or change things. So here, for example, forecast though, I can now put the amounts as they occur in my project. And at the end here, we can see the forecast line for 2021. As I add or my project continues, this will continue to increase as well. Can you determine greatest, lowest areas of income expenditure based on project type? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So you can also see areas where you may have estimated benefit to on the project, but you overallocated resources, or more time was spent, or you invested more time in that, so your outcome was not as great. You can also you can drill down to that into by capital, by expense, by hardware. You can even, for your resources, apply a resource rate, so you can see which resources. Let's say if you have a budget of 500,000 for a project, I can add resources and their rate, and I can tell me for the expanse of the project that you are wanting to assign this resource for. Let's say, over the course of a year, if 2 resources have the same role, which one might be cheaper to use? So you're staying within budget, or which one is worth, you have the area to use that one. So I take the resource rate, the estimated hours that you're predicting for the project, and calculate that. Then that could act as a baseline. So you can compare that to the end of the project, what you actually spent on each person or in each area, on each phase as well. So phase 1 of the project, phase 2, phase 3. And we can even have the status report include a budget versus actuals and put remaining. So this is my budget, this is the budget remaining. So for example, if I'm 50% of the way through my project, but I'm 75% of the way through my budget, that's a problem. Depends on your project, of course, but normally it's kind of a problem. So those are also great things I'd recommend having on a status report, for example.
Stella, we're at time, and great job today. We'll be sending this out to you guys, and please don't hesitate to contact us. We would love to do this personalized to whatever you need, and we really appreciate it. So again, I'll send this out, and we'll see you next time, I hope. Have a
There's
great
also
fall.
a survey in the chat. If anybody gets a chance to fill that out, just lets us know that what we're showing is what you guys are enjoying. That would be great. And also, I know we just showed you a little bit today, so like Megan said, feel free to ask us any questions. We just wanted to show you some examples of the possibilities, and there's a lot of possibilities. So
A lot.
definitely reach out to us.
Great questions
Thanks so
too
much,
today.
everybody, for joining. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for being so interactive.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great day.
Bye.